we look at these officers' career. A lot of them had infractions already. A lot of them already before and they were being fucking pushed up more. And one of the things that you said inside that book that was dope was they made a team of fucking a bunch of crooks.
Yeah.
They created a super, this shit is like the Voltron of crooks.
It is.
Like
it's crazy.
They created that shit.
It's extraordinary because the feds are listening in on Gondo and Raham's phone, and they're working with, a couple other guys. Like Jenkins has his own squad that's doing the same stuff. And in the middle of you couldn't, honestly, like you said earlier, it's like a movie. Like in the middle of their investigation, this other corrupt squad, they joined forces, and you wonder if Jenkins might not have got caught if he hadn't happened to be transferred. There's one part in the book that, the feds told me that they thought Jenkins was a great cop because of his reputation, and they almost brought him into the fold, like had him wear a wire and we are going to tell him what was going on. Can you imagine if Wayne Jenkins was like the hero who brought down Gondo and Raham, only to probably be discovered on his own later? I mean, that would have been a disaster. So what's one of the things I get to, by being able to talk with the investigators, I can chronicle some of the things that didn't work and almost didn't work. But yeah, it's a really crazy thing. And I also, again, just to go back to what you're talking about fixing the department, I mean, you throw in all the defund conversations, and that's a whole other thing. It's a really interesting thing.
What I was going to ask you.
Yeah, I mean, for decades, I'm doing research right now on the 60s and 70s. There was some stuff I came across in the research for this book that I want to keep looking into. And you could take some of these articles from the 60s and reprint them today, and it's the same. It's people saying cops can't solve the problem. These are deeper problems. We're only a Band-Aid. There's not, there was a police chiefs conference in like St. Louis in like 1968 where the keynote speaker was like, the dirty secret is that we actually can't fix these problems. They're deeper issues. And so here we are in 2021, talking about that. Although I don't know that it's going to be a seamless thing to shift these resources. I think everybody kind of knows that it's the right thing to do, but they're afraid to do it. They're afraid that all hell might break loose, and then it will be like, oh, I can't believe you did that. And so, there's this lesser approach that says, well, don't just strategically cut away the police department and reallocate those funds to where they can really help. And I think that, the mayor kind of campaigned on saying he was going to do that, but he hasn't really done it yet. He hasn't even stood up the work group to look into it. And, I think it's going to be a very gradual process if they can do it at all due to the consent decree, which calls for increased funding to put more officers on the street so they can hypothetically do a better job. So it's a really crazy time, but I'm excited because these conversations are occurring that really haven't been occurring in the past. We talk about it, but it wasn't really something that officials were actually interested in doing. I think there's deeper conversations taking place now, maybe. Preliminary.
I mean, I think outside it's just going to take people from the outside to give a fuck. That's one of the biggest things. And that's why, again, shedding light on certain issues that wasn't noticeable to a lot of people. And although I believe a lot of people play blind eye, just like I believe a lot of people that isn't arrested right now that were cops, whether you were actively doing it with, you knew that it was going on, and it was your duty to point that shit out. And it wasn't getting pointed out. I mean, we think about all these guys came from, like we just said, from different places. All of them. That means that you had crews on these places too that was also down with this. I mean, it's and one of the things that I believe that you said, this shit was taught from somewhere. So that's when you go back to what you were saying about the 60s and the 70s. It was taught from somewhere. And then we also have to understand that back in the UNREST days, that was what the Pennsylvania Avenue and all of that things, when that was going on, you had cops literally refuse to work. They were just standing there, while shit happened for a while. And it was like a free for all everywhere. And that's the fucked up part about it, because that wasn't 8 cops. That was more than 8 cops. And that means majority of these cops are still on the street. And that's a scary thing for us, is raising children and things of sort. It's scary. So you think about when you're talking about defund, and again, what's your stance on that? Do you think defund is the thing, or?
You know, again, my job is to hear all the different sides, and I think that I think it's an interesting conversation. I want to learn more about it. I want to see how it would be implemented, and but I can't say I have an opinion on it because I feel like it's like an unknown right now. Like, what would it look like? How would it work? You know, um, I know that I know that I think everybody kind of can agree that more money for like things that actually help people not get into crime is the way to go. Um, but the idea of like slashing the department, but you know, just like all of a sudden reducing the number of officers by half or 75%, like what does that look like? Like what do they do? So I mean, I just want to learn more about it. And I'm hoping that they will sort of stand up that task force that's supposed to look into it and try to make some recommendations.
Yeah, I agree. I think we at the place that nobody really knows what the fuck it is. I actually did an episode on it, and I really still don't know because it hasn't been done. So it's like we don't even have a view of what it will fucking look like. You know, other than craziness. You know, I shout out to all the programs throughout the city that's actually doing, you know, weekend free violence and week free violence or 7-day challenges and all that shit that's happening in these communities because that's dope. You know, you spoke big about when you saw the Bloods and the Crips uniting and things of sort. That shit was dope, you know, because I believe that it's not necessarily only policing our own communities. I believe that it's time to police our own communities with support of the police.
Yeah, and
That's
you know,
what I would want to see.
and there's definitely like a ton of residents that I've met over the years, you know, who you know, I think that, you know, I'm not, I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but like they're the ones calling 911 on their neighbors. Like they call 911 and say, get these kids off the street, get them off my, you know, the stoops that are painted with like no loitering, you know, they want the police to clean up their neighborhoods. And I think there's one argument to be made that they don't, that's the only option they have, right? So they're calling because that's the only option they have. And if we had other things, maybe that could take the place. But I think there's a lot of residents in the city who would be very fearful about the idea of reducing the police presence. And so it's not everybody's not on the same page here. You know, there's activists who are doing their job and they're trying to bring these issues to light and trying to make sure that the officials don't turn the page. But there's a lot of residents who are not, you know, as loud, and they're not on social media, and they have a very strong opinion about this too. So it's a complicated issue, and I think our mayor is in the middle of that. I think that he got elected as a progressive, and he's also from Park Heights, and he has family and friends, and who live in the streets and who live in the neighborhoods where they're saying, please do not pull the cops out of here. We think that would be bad, and he's trying to work through that.
Yeah, we went to school together. We both went to
Okay.
Mervo. So I think the best quote I read in your book, and it's something that I probably fucking named this episode after. It's you said Baltimore Black communities have both been over policed and under policed, and I know we've been touching on that here. Do you like what? Explain that into detail, because I think that sentence was so fucking powerful because it's the truth, and it's such an oxymoron at the same time. But we've been over policed and under police. But from your perspective of a reporter and the outside looking in, explain exactly what you meant.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the idea that, you know, police who are looking to drive down crime are looking for the fastest results, and they will stop you as you're walking down the street not doing anything. They will drive into a group of people. They will pull over a car for a tail light being out and end up searching the whole thing. And you're being over policed. You know, that's not what you want. You don't want everybody to feel as though every move they make is going to end up with a search by police or a stop or whatever. And yet there's all these unsolved murders and all these unsolved crimes. And I think in some ways it's a vicious cycle, because I think that, you know, I think that maybe in the 80s, maybe the 90s, people did stop cooperating with police as much, probably because of the way police treated them. But, you know, it's a chicken and egg thing. And so with less tips and less cooperation, police got more aggressive, trying to make things happen. There's one part where the GTTF refer to themselves as the make stuff happen police. I thought that was really interesting that they use that phrase, because they're trying to make something happen. They don't know who's committing the crimes. They're going to figure it out. They're going to go in there and turn over your bed and tear apart your dresser and, you know, find something to tie you to a crime.
Or pull up, you know, and just hope that you run.
Yeah. And so it's like, yeah, so you're getting over policed. They're suffocating the community, trying to drum up something, and it's not the way that they're going to actually solve some of these really serious crimes and make relationships with members of the community so that they can, you know, make that progress.
I got you. I got you. I know we said that we was gonna.
Dogs again.
It's all good, man. We're gonna start wrapping up anyway. One of the biggest questions that I wanted to ask, and we'll end it on this: who the fuck runs the city?
Well, you know,
who the fuck owns the city? Because your book is titled "We Own the City," and then I got to the end, and I was like, "Wow, you're a powerful fucking writer."
And that wasn't planned. Like, so the epilogue, I catch up with one of the members of the Crips, Charles Shelley, who really looked out for me during the rioting. I went into the center of Pennsylvania North. You know, I'm a reporter. I want to be there. I want to see it. I want to hear about it later. And he's like, you're going to get fucked up. He's like, you are a sitting duck.
Almost did.
So he throws his arm around me, and I'm like, oh man, this is weird. Like, people don't throw their arms around people who they're gonna, like, you know, I'm a stranger, and what does he care about me? And then so I felt like a baby. I felt like you know, like I'm fine. I can take care of myself. And as soon as I left, someone tried to rob me. Someone tried to steal my cell phone. They sprayed pepper spray on me. This guy with his hoodie tied tight over his face, and I like retreated back over to Charles and his buddies and kind of just stay with them for the rest of the time. But you know, I've been meaning to meet up with him for years. I'd gotten his information at the time. I didn't do it at first. Then he moved away. His number got changed. I found him on Facebook at one point, but it just didn't happen. And so around like the 5-year anniversary of the Freddie Gray death and everything that happened, you know, and with George Floyd going on, I was like, I got to find this guy. And I found he'd moved back to Baltimore, and we hung out and we talked. And, you know, he said something to me. The book was finished. The book was finished at this point. There was no epilogue. And I was just doing this because I wanted to meet him. And we were talking about it. He's like, you know, he said to me, people in these neighborhoods, and this is what I was speaking to a moment ago, they don't want murders going on. They don't want drug dealing going on. They want their neighbors to be safe in places where their kids can play and they feel safe. And he's like, but you know, the officers aren't going to get there because people don't trust them, and the people don't want to work with them. And it occurred to me that, like, you know, yeah, it's the residents can, you know, if the cops feel like they own the city and they can run roughshod on them and do whatever they want, they're alienating the people who really own the city, which is the taxpayers, the people who live here, who set down roots, who go back, you know, generations, and, you know, like they're the ones who own the city. So I like that moment where people get to the end and go, I see what you did there.
Moment.
Yeah.
No, I think I found that pretty fucking dope, because I totally agree, man. We own the city. We own the city. We run the city. It is the people who does it, and that's one of the things that we need the police to know, that you work for the people. And let's get out here and actually try to connect with the people. That's one of the biggest things. Those relationship buildings is the thing that matters. That's why you were able to walk through that neighborhood with that guy, because he was able to build relationships throughout his community. It ain't a scared thing of him. It ain't none of that shit. It's a, hey, we respect that guy. We know that guy. That's a familiar face. Those things matter. And inside these communities, those things matter too, as far as the police and any other fucking agency that's out there supposedly stopping crime and things of sort. You need to get out there and actually fucking be with the people. It scares me that majority of the polices are not from here. That's scary, because you don't really have no love. It's the same thing that they say when, you know, you're going to somebody else's neighborhood, you know, or somebody else's house, or, hey, you know what they say about them Section 8 people, or they won't take care of it because it ain't their property. It's the same thing when it comes to, you know, it was different when these officers had to live inside these fucking communities. You know, so you wanted to slow things down. You wanted to get things back. And I think that it can be done. I think Baltimore can be a beautiful fucking place. We just have to do it. Last thing I wanted to ask you too, my homeboy today actually, and I was like, wow, damn, I got him coming on my show today. He's actually about to be in the We Own the City movie or TV show.
I was wondering if you're going to bring that up. Yeah.
I just fucking found out probably an hour or two ago.
No, it's so honestly, the way this book came about, I never planned on writing a book. I'm a newspaper reporter. I want to do the best job I can as a newspaper reporter. But during the trial, David Simon, the creator of The Wire and someone who used to do my job at the paper in the 80s and 90s, he reached out to me and said, this is a great story. This is a book, you know, and I think I want to make a show. And so from then on, I decided, okay, let me see what I can do. Let me try to wrap up, 13 years of reporting on this stuff and see if I can pull it off. And it was hard. I mean, I ended up with Random House, which is fantastic. They're they're like the best publisher, but it took a while. I was working on the proposal for like a year and I thought I was going to blow it. But yeah, he's making it into an HBO miniseries, 6 parts. They start filming soon. And be on TV at some point, probably next year or at the late fall in the earliest. But got a great cast, and I'm involved. I'm involved as a consultant, so they ask me a lot of questions about what did this look like. They want to make it as real as they can, and it's real exciting stuff. It's all the creators of The Wire, Ed Burns, George Pelicanos, David Simon. It's all and so it's pretty cool. What is your buddy? Man. Can you tell me? Well, I'll ask you offline what your buddy's playing because that's he
didn't tell me that, but his name is Chris. So he was actually in The Wire. So now that you're saying that the creators of The Wire is actually the ones that did it, that makes it dope. I literally just saw this maybe about an hour before we started recording when he said it, and he posted the title of the book, and I was like, we own the city. So wow, I got him. I'm actually about to record with him in a couple minutes and shit. So I was laughing at it, and I just thought that was God speaking. So I'm glad that we did get a chance to see that so that I could be able to help you promote that. Congratulations, brother. You have a wonderful fucking book. I hope that you continue to uncover these things that some people are playing blind eye to.
Yeah, no, the bar's been raised. Yeah.
It is. It has. And we owe you for that because it's important that people come out there and do those same things. Like I was trying to get off earlier, but I kind of think I got tongue twisted or something. Same way that the radio has people that request songs and things of sort. We're requesting these type of write-ups to be done. We're requesting these type of things to be done because it needs to be seen outside of these communities because it's going to take outside help to also get these communities where they're supposed to be. And it's not because
I don't want to wait till the next indictment to write about officers. If any of your listeners, if there's still officers like this that are doing this stuff, I want to know about it. And again, it might be hard to write about it. It might be hard to get the proof, but I want to know, and I want to be on the front end this time as opposed to trying to pick up the pieces after a huge indictment drops.
Got you. Look, Justin, over here at the Cards Face Up podcast, we salute you. We thank you for coming through, man. I wish you nothing but success. Continue to kill them out here. And for everybody out there listening or watching, whatever you're doing, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Justin, can you tell them how to get in touch with you if that's something that you want to do?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm on Twitter, Justin_Fenton. My email address is at the bottom of all my articles at BaltimoreSun.com, Instagram, all that stuff. So, yeah.
Got you, brother. Got you. We salute you for coming through, man. I hope to see you again very, very, very soon, man. Especially you owe us on your next project to bring it here too, all right?
And I'm going to look up that stop fucking snitching thing because
I know. Yeah, and if not, you owe me a beer. That's
thank you so much.
Thank you, Justin. Justin Fenton, everybody. Make sure y'all go ahead and follow him, man. Salute, brother.
See ya.